Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Let's Play Papal Italy number 18. Now, we have socialists in power, which may very well be a problem as I don't really want to manage our economy. Let's go ahead and just auto-upgrade all these things, make sure they're all open and subsidized. I really don't want to manage the economy. I also don't want to deal with constant revolts, or the slowed down jingoism and war justifications. So I actually really don't want to deal with these slowed down war justifications more than anything else. So we'll go ahead and put our standard political party in office. We also need to pick a tech to go after. We've finished both industry and culture. We're nearly done with commerce, though not quite. We'll go ahead and get oil-driven ships. We'll get oil-driven ships, then finish commerce, and then go back to navy. Alright, and with that all done, we are very nearly ready to go to war with the Cypriots. So let's go ahead and pick up 1, 2, how many provinces is their little island? 3 provinces. Let's go ahead and just pick up all 90,000 of these men, or 87,000 as it were, and we'll just carry them right on over, and there we go. We'll just bring this to where it needs to be, and we'll probably be just a bit, at least a month. There'll be a month until we can declare the war, which means it's pretty much just going to be a month at relatively quick pace. We only have 11 years left in the campaign, so that's basically where we're going to be. We can increase our level of sphere that Baden is in, so let's go ahead and just add them to our sphere of influence. We do get a bonus to artillery. And let's see, we were banned from Prussia, which is a bit unfortunate. We could start lowering our relations with them, and we'll be able to go to war with Cyprus in just a second. So let's go ahead and do that. Declare war, conquest, proceed. We just need to have our ability to justify wars ready to go in time for a war against Egypt in about 2 years. Now, we're not going to hold any elections right now because we just need to go in and annex Cyprus. We'll continue to lower the relations between us and Prussia until we get to a low enough point that we can justify a war. Then we'll justify war against Prussia and go after them. And that's really all that we need to do. Ideally, in the ideal world, the Ottomans will have some sort of revolution and we'll be able to go in and just destroy Wallachia and Moldavia. That's probably not very realistic, although that would be very nice. We can increase the level of sphere that Württemberg is in. I'm not sure if we actually have them in our sphere just yet. We'll annex Cyprus. Hooray, that is all done. Let's see, let's go to Württemberg, add to sphere, and we'll go ahead and decrease our relation with the Prussians 2 more times. And unfortunately Bavaria was just removed from our sphere of influence. Luckily we're just about able to put them right on back. So we'll go ahead and decrease relations with Prussia one last time. It looks like we'll also be able to fabricate a state soon, or not fabricate a state, that doesn't make any sense. We will be able to fabricate a claim right about now. We'll also be able to add Bavaria back to our sphere and create a state out of Iceland and Greenland. So hooray, Italians are flooding that area too. Not all of it, but quite a bit. North German Rhineland was taken over by the French, so sorry world, that just kind of happened. France might be a little bit of a problem. We could just go to war with them to push them out of this German territory. Although honestly, I'd be kind of alright with leaving the French there. They've gone through a lot, they kind of deserve that tiny bit of land. The poor Germans are just getting fought everywhere, which is sad for them. I'll go ahead and we'll add to sphere Prussia. That will be our war goal. We will even move an army right on up to the border just to get ready to go do that. We do apparently have a factory closed from Cyprus. And with that all said and done, we should be able to just keep speeding forward. Looks like Spain has a bit of a rebel problem. Spanish fascists. Good thing their army is strong enough to just destroy them. We will be able to go to war against Egypt again, I believe in 1927. Yes, August of 1927. So until then, we're just going to sit here and watch the world unfold. As that's really all there is to do at this point. And let's see, Austrian communists are rising up. I wonder if they'll take the government building. Probably not. There are North German soldiers there. We could find out what Poland is doing. Conquest of Sachsen. Hopefully that won't make everything look terrible. Wait a minute. Poland and Austria. And Austria would acquire it. That is terrible. As that would just be awful. We don't want Austria to get that, and because the Polish are helping them, they're clearly going to win it. The Mexicans are losing their war against the American People's Republic, and Chile is losing their war against Bolivia. Neither of the winning sides have added any war goals, and we're probably going to just be forced to watch Austria get a little more disgusting. Which is a bit sad, although not terribly so. We'll be able to go to war with Prussia, add them to our sphere, and then just make sure that there is no actual threat of Austria. Alright, what am I saying? Okay, we need to go to war with Prussia, add them to our sphere, and see that we aren't able to make the South German Confederation. We will then go to war with Austria, more likely than not, to just destroy Sachsen, or give it back to the North Germans, I mean. And we're probably going to justify a war against them once our war against the Prussians is already ready to go. And we could just free people and free the North Germans, although... Yeah, we'll free people, which is the minor one. So let's pause really... no, we don't need to pause, actually. So yeah, look at that terrible, disgusting mess. We're going to go to war with Austria and our creation, Poland, Lithuania. Once we, of course, go to war against Prussia. So we'll declare this war, add to sphere, declare, and then march straight on over. Now let's justify a war to free people, as that's all we want to do, and we'll free the North German Confederation from Sachsen. So let's move these troops over. And we're probably going to end up fighting Poland as well, so it will probably be a bit of a slog that requires additional troops than the ones we just put. So we'll go ahead and get these groups and bring them over, and these groups and bring them over as well. And all that should be able to be done far before we actually have to worry about fabricating our claim against... Oh wait, let's go ahead and peace these guys. And our athletes are victorious, hooray us. That's a whole bunch of free prestige. We can't add any war goals, so we'll go ahead and just accept. And nothing popped up allowing us to make the South German Confederation, so it is well and truly out of our ability. Even though we do have a nice South German Sphereling group. Oh well. Anyway, so that's where we stand. We really will probably just leave Austria alone once we free Sachsen. We could also maybe just go in and free Czechoslovakia, or at least the Czech Republic, and just leave them with modern-day Austrian lands. I kind of like them having Bohemia as well. It just kind of seems nicer to me. Although, if they keep being a problem, we might have to get rid of that. We could also go to war with the Hungarians and free Slovakia. Maybe even get Czechoslovakia on the map. Although I feel like that would make more sense if we were Poland. And so now we tick forward a bit. Alright, and let's see. We have quite a few factories and stuff that we need to upgrade even with the Conservatives in office, so they aren't the end-all be-all of, you know, random groups in charge of our country. I don't even want to lower our taxes on the rich, as we wouldn't really be able to make up for it in other ways. We'll go ahead and increase our military spending to max. The reason I'd had it slightly below was probably because of the socialists, but in a more real sense, I had read once, and this is a terrible reason, get ready for it. I had read once that if you put the military spending too high, too many of your soldiers will upgrade to officers, and when they do that, you basically lose out on some potential soldiers. Now, admittedly, we don't really need to worry. We can have up to 900 brigades. We're already 100 brigades lower than our limit. Maybe if we're lucky, Ottoman reactionaries will overthrow their government. I really doubt it, though. So I was worried just mainly that we would have too many officers and not enough soldiers. That's kind of a ridiculous thing to worry about this far in the game. We'll go ahead and free Sachsen, declare North German Confederation in Sachsen, proceed. Poland might join them. Poland did join them. So that's kind of gross. We're going to have to fight the Poles as well. And we'll just move these armies up. And just run everybody over and to the north. I'm anticipating a short, quick war that will just be fairly decisive and not cost too many lives. I have been proven wrong by these sorts of things before, and generally I'm proven wrong when I underestimate our opposition, which appears to be what I'm doing now. They also can move through our puppets, believe that or not. They won't get attacked, they won't fight us in our puppets' lands, that's good news. We'll go ahead and bring this army over to there. No, okay, yeah, they can fight us in our puppets' lands. I was mistaken. Hopefully, I was mistaken won't be the calling phrase of this war. It looks as though a large Polish or a large Austrian army is fighting us in the mountains. I don't believe this group. Okay, they're going around. We'll just go ahead and reinforce right there. We've defeated the Austrians in one battle. We'll go ahead and move ever further into their countryside and bring some reinforcing groups as well. Let's see. That should take care of itself. We'll move that group up. It'll accidentally get into that battle, although that's not too much of a concern. We did win another battle and a third. We're probably going to have to actually... Oh, no, what? The Austrians retreated there? That's annoying. And they're reinforcing. That's a very bad thing for us. Let's see, do we have any spare groups anywhere? Wow, apparently we're losing a ton of troops in this battle. We will fall out of the attack on Vienna as soon as we're able to move this army away. These groups will move over to fight that Austrian army. It looks as though we did win right here. They're all going to Munich and Augsburg. So we'll drop off this group, bring these up, and just take this full one up to Munich. These guys really need to get out of there. And they did. Hooray! We lost a lot of men in the process, but we did escape with what remains. Let's go ahead and bring this 57,000 men stack over to the front, 105,000, and okay, 2 large armies are attacking us. That's less than ideal. We'll bring this group up to reinforce that, and this group over to reinforce the other. This 6 stack needs to fall back so we don't pull it into the combat. It looks as though we are losing tons of men. We did win this battle out loud, though, which is very good news, and all of these battles are being won as well. Some areas we are fighting rather poorly. We'll go ahead and rush over, hopefully seizing everything, or not seizing everything, but hopefully preventing our armies from being destroyed. Which, yeah, apparently that just tells you how used to just overwhelming victories I am, that I didn't even think of saying hopefully we'll survive. I thought seizing when I considered actions that our army was likely to take, even in this war where things are going as poorly as they are. Let's not run it into the army that's actually doing fine, which we nearly did. We'll just keep bringing our armies about. We did win this battle. they're retreating to another slightly better off group. We'll bring these troops over. And let's see. Salzburg. That is just where all of their armies are going. We'll bring our armies there too. We will take this group over, and it looks as though they're going to just random other provinces. We'll have to fight them where they go. This army is doing very poorly. Alright, we will support that group, move troops in to support this one, pull back all of these horrifically undermanned divisions. Luckily the month ticked over. Sadly they were still in the province, so it didn't save them or help them very much at all. This is going to be a very bloody war, I'm starting to realize. And, yeah, that's really all there is to say about that. It's going to be very bloody. And kind of pointless, I'm realizing, now that we're actually taking all of these losses. Freeing the North Germans, who we've fought several times, doesn't really seem like the noblest of reasons to get our people thrown to their deaths. So many things in life you wish you had thought of before doing them. However, I guess that's part of life, is that you don't always do that, and you kind of just have to make do with the decisions you've made. Going on, let's go ahead and continue making do with the decisions we've made, and press our armies forward against these enemy groups. We did manage to stack wipe one group, that is great news. We will roll these troops down and around into the 2 stack and then into the 23 stack. It looks as though we are managing to win all of the other battles now. I'm sure we're going to have some pretty depressing casualty lists from these battles once that information ticks into us at their end. Looks like there is still a small Austrian force. We'll go ahead and attack it. And with that all done, we'll move around. It looks as though they are still funneling troops in. They definitely have, if not more troops. Okay, let's tick this month over. This 20 stack can go reinforce that group. If they don't have more troops on this field, I would be partially surprised. It looks as though we really won that battle. At least in the early stages. We'll probably have more troops than them right now, or at least by the end of the war. Well, I mean, hopefully by the end of the war. We're not at risk of losing this. That is the main thing to keep in mind, is we aren't going to lose this war. It just might not be very much of a victory when we win. Which, is that the same thing? Who's to say? We are managing to just purge their armies now, and at this point, that moment of hesitation and worry is gone. Our armies are doing so very well that it doesn't even matter anymore. We have this won. Was it bloody and awful for a moment? Yes, definitely. We did win that battle. They lost 140-something thousand. I didn't see how many we lost. For the speed play, I will have the battle report, or the war report, as always. And we'll just keep moving side armies up. These groups, we will leave the most wounded behind, charge the remainder forward, and just continue bringing additional forces into the fight. Who gives a hoot about their religion anyway, I'll say, even though we are technically run under the auspices of pluralism, so it doesn't really make sense for us to be just terribly rude about their religion. Nevertheless, that's how we're going to be acting. We are, after all, Italy, the great empire. We may as well just not lose any prestige if we can avoid it. Now, these side armies will keep trying to just destroy and clean house with. And these groups will move forward as well. And hopefully this isn't our rebellion we're fighting now. It looks as though it was actually an Austrian rebellion, as there are still Austrian anarcho-liberals throughout the countryside. And I accidentally accepted their peace. That isn't terrible, though. It made peace with Poland. The only reason I wasn't accepting it immediately was because I was worried that we would not peace out the Poles, and then just be stuck in a bit of a weird Cold War where they're technically at war with us, technically want to come and attack us, but just for whatever reason weren't actually able to. So we managed to avoid that problem pretty well by just kind of spamming the enter button a bit. Is that how most things should be solved? Obviously not, although it did work in this instance, so I guess who am I to complain? We will move these armies over our new, well, not really new, the border's the same, but over to our new defensive line on our old border. And the new defensive line is much like the old defensive line. We'll also keep a couple extra groups down there, and maybe one over here. So with that all said and done, back to just roving through into the future as quickly as we can. We do have men on all sorts of islands that I might end up regretting if we ever find ourselves in need of armies. Although for the moment it isn't too much of a problem, and I won't really worry about it as though it was, or as though it were. So yeah, with that all said and done, we're just kind of looking in the general direction of Egypt, waiting more or less for us to be able to go to war with them. We are slightly more fascist, pretty socialist, just a whole bunch of other random things. And when will we be able to go to war with them? Let's find out. This isn't the actual screen I need to go to look. Right here. August 13th. So, alright. August 13th. Wait a minute. What is this? We can justify a war anyway? What? Have I been able to justify wars against these people the entire time? Could we just be going to war with the Ottoman Empire every few moments? That's kind of... Oh, I hope I haven't been wasting all of this time. There's no way, though. Maybe it's because our war goals would be ready before the truce ends, or after the truce ends. Maybe it's because they're fascists now and we had a truce with their old government. I couldn't tell you why we're able to justify a war on them. That is something I would not have been able to expect. That's just interesting. I think it might have something to do with them having a new government now. Once again, not sure about that in any way. We're not going to question it too much. Instead, we're just going to bring some armies over and take advantage of this fortuitous turn of events. In fact, we'll just bring enough armies to just siege them out as quickly as possible, because I don't want to waste any possible time between this war and the next war, as we're really in a race against time that we're going to be able to actually complete these two wars against Egypt and hopefully manage to annex them entirely. And let's see, we have to open all factories. I'm not sure where we have all of these unemployed Italian West Indies. I guess it's probably just a new area and our capitalists haven't gotten around to industrializing it. I do kind of want to just take all of these 90,000 men off this island, just because it's too much of a waste. And really, I don't think it'll be so hard to just bring more troops over, although I'll likely forget. Although we're not really going to go to war with any power with a large navy anyway, between now and the end of the game. So, yeah, we may as well just bring these men over, get them onto the boats, and bring them against the Egyptians, where we will continue our plan to just overwhelm them with as many men and armies and personnel as we possibly can. This needs to be a quick and decisive war. Now, apparently we did also lose around 10 army groups in our war against Austria. Considering how undermanned some of our armies became, that isn't too surprising in and of itself. So we might even be able to probably not finish this campaign in this episode, as we are only a few years in, and I imagine it'll take just long enough that I wouldn't want to try to go over the usual time limit to try to get to the very end of the campaign. So we'll just stay where we are, more or less, right now. Long live Italy, we gain another core. And we are getting a few techs done. We are almost there at the end of culture, and then we'll just sweep through Navy one section at a time until we get to the very end, and it's very likely that we'll be done with technology before the end of the game, because as we all know, there was a point where technology stopped, and that was a little bit before 1936. And let's go ahead and see, 104 days. I don't want to just watch that tick down, as that's a bit tedious. It doesn't look as though there are any wars going on in the world. Let's double check that. No, Peruvian conquest of La Paz. So there is one tiny little war going on in South America. Grand Colombian Colombia exists, with tiny Colombia also existing. Poor Colombia next to Grand Colombia. No real hope. Bolivia is pretty big, Paraguay is pretty small, Argentina also appears to be fairly big. Chile seems oddly large, or maybe it's just oddly small, I'm not really sure. Nor maybe it's normal size, I guess it's oddly small. Peru and Bolivia are fighting, Brazil's pretty big. All just a bunch of more or less normal stuff. Grand Colombia could be much larger. Venezuela ate part of Colombia, that's why regular Colombia is so small. And why Venezuela is so big. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And let's see, we have an event pop-up that I just kind of ignored for a second. I'm sorry if I'm slightly distracted. I'm usually not doing this sort of thing or really anything else while playing this, and I'm very sorry for if it's rather obvious. Let's go ahead and see. Our war justification is nearly ready. Poor fascist Egypt. It was a good and fun idea, but it's probably not going to be very long in this world. And then, let's see, we'll still have to wait until February of next year, or 2 years from now, to declare on the Ottomans, or fabricating the Ottomans, unless we can also just sort of rush that like we were able to against the Egyptians. Although, I kind of doubt we'll be able to. It would be nice, and it would really help us out in the long run. Or not really the long run, I guess in the remaining run. I wonder when that changed, because that's a big significant shift that I completely didn't realize, and which kind of might be bad for us, as we might have been able to fully annex the Ottomans had we known. Although I'm getting way too far ahead of myself right now. We'll send our armies into Egypt, just march right on into every single province they own. Every single province they own. Bam, there we go. Wow, 11,000. We'll disperse them so we don't lose our people. We'll bring even more armies against that small Egyptian force. It's the last one left. And let's not be ridiculous. If we can actually fabricate casus bellis against the Ottomans, we're going to need to find that out right now. And we are actually unable to because of our truce. So it would seem that because Egypt did go through a revolution, we were able to fabricate another casus belli earlier than we would have been able to. And that means we didn't actually waste any time with wars against at least the Ottomans, Admittedly, we did kind of waste time with wars against Egypt. That doesn't matter. We'll be able to fully annex them. This truce will last until 1933-ish. Will they accept peace? They will. And we've got it. Now we have a truce with them until November of 1932, which is completely doable. We'll be able to hopefully annex them by that, or in that war at that point. And yeah, that's basically that then. All these armies are now kind of just standing on the border of nothing. We'll bring them over and around. It looks as though we actually might be a little ridiculous in doing so. No, actually we won't. That was partly an Ottoman army. So we'll just bring additional troops to all these borders. We'll leave these two just stacked up next to Cairo so they know what their future holds. And let's see. Alright, yeah. That's... Alright. Meanwhile, the American People's Republic, still communist, otherwise they would have changed their name. They are being sieged, though, which means they could very well become, oh, a democracy again? That's boring. How many troops do they have? 50 regiments, 150,000 men. They don't appear to be mobilized, which means they may or may not manage to stay communist, depending on... Oh, no, they will. They managed to defeat that rebellion. So, unfortunately, they'll probably get their industry back up. Fortunately, though, they most likely won't do that very soon. And they'll stay communist between constant rebellions, which will occupy provinces, which will lower their industrial score. So, chaos and all that, probably a good thing in the end for us. And political chaos in the United States means they're less likely to sphere California, Texas, and New England, which would probably reintegrate them, as well as also Hawaii, which is our sphereling as well. Poor Mexico is going to keep looking kind of terrible. I'm sorry, Mexico, we did everything we could to help you, except actually declare to help you. I mean, it was a very indirect help, but we did, you know, our best. Romania is probably going to just look disgusting until the end of the game, as the Ottomans don't actually appear to be ready to let their government collapse into anarchy, and I can't really say I blame them, although I would love to. Now for the naval techs, these should all go fairly quickly. Come on, let's start research. And we have yet another state, so we'll go ahead and look back at nationalities. It looks as though there is a small Italian minority, but I guess that's all it took. Oh wait, no, for Somaliland, there are actually quite a few Italians there. Not anywhere near a majority in any province, though still a decent amount. And apparently we just have so much diplomatic influence that it's starting to spill over into countries we're not even bothering to influence. We'll go ahead and increase their opinions of us. I'm not really sure what it is that does that. We could actually take a look, though. As one of the great things about this game is that a lot of these unknowns actually do kind of reveal themselves. And what am I looking at? Why am I not at the screen that we need to see? Alright, so let's see. What is increasing these points? I feel vaguely certain that there's a way to just scroll over this, and yeah, there it goes. Let's see. Our base gain is because of relations and the total score of our nation relative to our total score, or their nation next to ours. Crimea is out of our sphere. How rude of the Russians to do that. I don't want them to just reintegrate them, although that's probably what will happen. And unfortunately it appears as though we could have created a state in Kenya for about a day and then not. Can we fabricate a claim against Egypt, despite the fact that we have a truce? No, apparently this time we can't. Darn. And we're going to have to wait until February to go to war with the Ottomans. They're protected by the Russians, although I don't actually believe that. February 17th we'll be able to go to war. Navy professionalism. So we are really just blowing through all of these naval techs. That's one of the great things about leaving techs for a while, is we just get so many technology points these days that it doesn't even... It's just completely different. It's on a different scale. I really wish we could get Wallachia and Moldavia out of the Ottoman sphere. We could do that if we just did that as our war against them, our final war against the Ottomans. We'll probably be able to get 2 in, but most likely just 1. Which means if we are able to get just 1 war in, we might actually end it after this episode, as we would fight our essentially last war on the Ottomans. As weird and crazy as that sounds, we did kick them out of Europe, so that's nice. We would probably go after Transjordan, Aleppo, and I guess we may as well also go after Baghdad. And just, well, no, I would really love to free Iraq, but that would leave Transjordan and Aleppo, and we have to at least get Transjordan. Maybe Aden, or their Ottoman Aegean Islands. Although I don't really mind them having those islands, it kind of looks better. And it is sort of nice having a Turkish rump state. Naval build time has increased, decreased, that is good. Long live Italy, we get another corps. Probably just one of our mini African areas. What is this? Oh, nothing. I thought I saw a rebellion, but it looks as though it was killed before we could actually get a good look at it. Here we see the American People's Republic is really trying to influence us out of their sphere, so that's a bummer. They'll probably be able to do that. Alright. So, unfortunately, it looks as though we won't actually achieve our ultimate end, which was to just partition the Ottomans completely, push them out of a good portion of Anatolia and all of their holdings outside of it. And, you know, that's actually kind of similar to the real world, real history. After World War I, there was a lot of plans to just devastate the Ottoman Empire and take the vast majority of their territories. And that didn't actually end up happening in part because the Turks fought the Turkish War of Independence and just battled all of the Entente forces and various other groups until they have all that is modern Turkey today. And that includes Constantinople, which we did manage to take from them, so go us. We outdid the Entente, although they do still have Iraq and other territories. So we won a little, we lost a little. The Entente of old definitely lost quite a bit, although, you know, I guess Italy was a member in the end stages, or at least once they became the Allies. And yeah, that's basically that then. We are near the end of the year. We will be able to fabricate on the Ottomans again in the near future. We could maybe free Armenia. I don't really feel like doing that. Let's see, that's all Iraq. There's no Kuwait or anything in this game. We could maybe free Syria, although nope, that's just Egypt. Ooh, what is this? More Ottoman reactionaries. Well, we might be able to overthrow their government or get their government overthrown in this war, which I'm actually going to fairly confidently say this will be our last war against the Ottomans. And, in fact, we might even just carry this game to 1936, or maybe just call it after this point. I mean, I might be getting way ahead of myself. That is incredibly possible. I have done that before. Also go after naval logistics because supply range is vaguely important. And when's our truce ready to end? February 17th. We're nearly there. That means we'll be able to start on February 18th because for whatever reason the day it says is just the last day we can. Let's not let our people become more socialist. That's terrible. And there we go. We kind of waited a day longer than we needed to. We could go after acquire state. That will take a while. We could free people. That wouldn't take very long at all. Liberate country. We'll go after acquire state. It'll take us twice as long, but this will be our final war against the Ottomans. It's just not realistic to get one last war in at the very end. We will let our people... We'll just ignore them. Kind of just stay in the middle ground. What's all this? We can create Zambezia as a state in our country. Hooray us. More Italians. We can get synthetic oil factories and also oil by the looks of it. You'd imagine we already have oil. Although, whatever, it doesn't matter too much. And yeah, who knows? And yeah, at that point, it's just a matter of waiting for our casus belli to justify, and then we're good to go. There are, let's take a look, some rebels, Hungarian fascists. Hungary will probably become fascist. Let's actually see they do have around 100,000 men in their army, which is in just one giant clump. So that giant clump of Hungarians will probably kill all of their rebels, and at that point, we probably won't have to worry about fascist Hungary, as that will just take care of the problem. It looks as though France has managed to be a democracy with a fascist ruling party for quite some time now. Good on them. Our athletes are victorious. Hooray us. France is a great power again, so happy day France. The North Germans are not once again. We could go to war with the French to just clean that up, and maybe it would be better if we did. I won't actually do that, though. I don't want to go to war with France and Britain, especially now that they don't really have anything that we want. We could just clean up the borders, although... Oh, what is this? An international crisis for Mongolia. And, that would be a final end war against China. More likely than not. Although, oh no, China's going into a period of civil war. Could we do this? Yes. Should we do this? Probably not. It would be interesting. Mongolia does want our support. China is pretty powerful. The world will probably join against us, and that would give us something to do in the very end. I'll do it. There's no justification not to. We owe the world a final end war. We owe the world a war where almost certainly every country but us is going to join their side. We are going to go into this war, and we will do everything necessary to try to win it. It looks as though everyone's going to try to back China instead of us. We need at least one other country on our side if we're going to have a world war. Otherwise it'll just be a regular war, and that's kind of boring. Oh well. So, this will probably be a massive doom war. There's really nothing else about it. Apparently China is now also fascist, and Austria immediately is down with that. Everyone really does want China to win. Those jerks. Political considerations are going to get everybody on their side. Not too terribly surprising. Let's go ahead and take a moment to build our navy up. We'll build all the dreadnoughts we can, all the battleships we can. That will be that. We also need to build up our armies. Build armies. 110 in Africa. Woof, alright. So just groups of 110. Okay, we'll just build 30 groups, or 10 groups right now. So to build 10 groups, we will need 30 artillery. Alright, 30 artillery. Let's go ahead and say 30 infantry. This will be a rather significant military buildup, as you're probably very aware. 10 engineers. It looks as though we won't actually be able to build any guards. That's not too bad. We'll build 20 groups of armor. And also 10 groups of airplanes. Apparently 11 groups. That's fine. We'll build 2 more tanks, 1 more engineer, 3 more artillery, 3 more infantry. We can also build in Asia, and how many in Europe? 68. Okay, that's alright. So 6 groups, which will be just kind of inconvenient to do. So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 engineers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go ahead and do 12 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6 aeroplanes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now, let's see, 6 times 3, 18 artillery. That will bring us up to 158. And then 12 infantry, because we have the guards, and that lowers the amount. And there we go. It looks as though we can get 2 more groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll get another engineer, another guard, or 2 other guards. I believe that would be 4 tanks, an airplane, and we're missing something. We probably need to get another engineer, and I guess another guard, whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. So we'll get up about 200 new brigades. That's around 600,000 more men under arms. We may as well just make ourselves fascist at the end. I mean, there's no real reason not to. Our war justification is probably going to be paused. We'll take a look. Yeah, disgusting. Oh wait, no, the game was paused. Now we're able to do it. Who cares? Oh wait. No, ours is paused. That's awful. So we'll have to fight 2 wars in that period. So we will have to actually keep a democracy, at least call constant elections. We could switch to fascist and then just kind of hope for the best, which sounds a bit terrible, but probably isn't so much. A very smart thing to do would probably be to start pulling these armies over against France, as we're going to have to fight the French quite a bit in the very near future. All of these armies that we can get, we're going to move over. And we should probably leave some forces in Africa just in case there is another essentially brutal civil war, which honestly I'm not discounting at all, as that's very possible with how militant our people are going to be. We'll bring these forces down further into the heart of Africa. All of these men against the Ottomans are probably in a very terrible spot for the upcoming war, so it'd probably be very sensible to start pulling them out. As sad as I am to pull men off of our border with the Ottomans, it is probably going to be the prudent thing to do. We'll probably keep our navies more or less just on various points of the Mediterranean, at the Suez Canal and at Gibraltar, just to keep troop flow open. We'll probably split half of it up to go... Actually, you know what? We can probably start making a war plan. That's probably a very smart thing to do at this point. Can we offer anything to the Russians that will get them to accept helping us? No. Every country hates us far too much to actually accept our demands. Or not our demands, to accept our offers. I'm being ridiculous. So this might actually make the game last quite a while, as we will be in a very significant war with Poland, Great Britain, Japan, China, France, and Russia against us. Now, it depends whether or not we will actually have access to most of the people, most of the belligerents. We might just end up occupying France and Great Britain and waiting awkwardly for an opportunity to cross over into Poland, Lithuania, which would mean that we would occupy the Ottomans, but then there's still Armenia. So it's all up in the air. Oh, we are in an election right now. I can't believe I didn't realize that. That's interesting. We'll get that tech. It's good that we're starting to get our navy. We shouldn't have saved the navy for last. I'm realizing that that was very dumb now that we're realistically in a position where we may come to rely on our navy heavily. Oh well. USA declared war, or Mexico declared war on the US. Let's actually take a look at that. Mexican Liberation of Chihuahua, they are a democracy. Oh no, what? Okay, they're a democracy run by communists. Cool. That's interesting, America. Well done. We'll start pulling these forces over onto the border with France, as we're going to need quite a few men against the French. And realistically, we're probably taking this not seriously enough at all, which could very well mean that the French and basically just general allied army groups might make a bit of gains when the war just initially begins. And, you know, I'm not sure what we're going to try to get from this, but I do know that it would make no sense for us to end the war easily. We're going to have, no matter what, we're going to have to see this war through to the bitter end. The socialists took office again. We do not want that at all. They would accept white peace. We will not give them that. I'm tempted to make our ruling party fascist. We won't do that. We will make them liberals. Or not liberals, conservatives. Sorry, don't know how I got those confused. They're fairly simple things. And now we wait for the final few days as the crisis gets to the boiling point, boils over, and general conflict throughout the world will break out. This is going to be an even worldlier world war than the real world war. Or world wars, I should say. As we're really going to have the whole world more or less involved, and they're all great powers with great armies. We're going to do a very last-minute reshuffling of our troops to our border with the French. This is probably incredibly last-minute, probably far too last-minute. We're still going to do it now. And we'll just bring these boats back. Send these guys over to the Mediterranean, and in fact we should actually probably start getting our navies in combat positions and get ready for the war to end all wars. The final war, well, not the final war, we're going to also bully Egypt a bit, although I imagine this war will last long enough that we'll be done bullying Egypt and the Ottoman Empire by the time it's over. So yeah, this will probably be the very final war we fight. I had talked about not fighting some giant super war, and you know, that would have been such an anticlimax. Apparently my Victoria 2 has stopped responding. Hopefully that doesn't mess with the video footage. I really hope it doesn't. It did fling back, but that was just the autosave. Crisis temperature of 99. Italian War of Mongolian Liberation. We have 3 million military, or 3,000 military score. They have 5,000. We outnumber any individual country's military score by a significant margin. And yeah, that's where we stand. We'll take a look at these political map modes. And it doesn't look as though we actually will have access to Poland, Lithuania, and just kind of be stuck where we're at right now. Which means we'll probably go to war against Hungary and just march our armies through Hungary into Poland, Lithuania, and all that. Just because we can't march into them doesn't mean that they can't march into us, though. And we can't justify a war because we're currently justifying one against the Ottomans, and that does take precedence. These armies are all trying to fight rebellions and therefore not actually doing their jobs, so we'll actually just merge them and then split them up. Merge. No. Split. Hopefully that was all of our groups, or those were all of our groups that wanted to just move out of the territories we need them in. We'll start moving these armies forward, generally just across the front line. And yeah, who knows? This could definitely... I imagine we're going to just overwhelm the French. I'm not too concerned about that. The interesting question is going to be what happens next. And our battles against the French are going very well. Everywhere. They are bringing in some significant numbers against us. The British are also here. We're going to need to start pulling these troops out of their front and just start bringing them in to fill up these areas. We'll bring 2 groups into there. Alright, so we'll bring just an extra layer of men. It looks as though we are actually not winning all of our battles against the French. Some areas are going very poorly for us. We'll bring as many additional troops as we can and just kind of suffer the losses. We did win, though. That's the important part. We'll bring this group forward to keep pressing our advantage. That group back. And just keep roving on up. It looks as though we are taking some significant losses in some of these areas. 114,000 French attacked us in one province. Where was that province? Right there. Oh, good lord, that army is doing poorly. Let's bring just as many men as we can. We might get stack wiped there. Although no, we've reinforced quickly enough. Let's slow down game speed, because this is now very ridiculous. We'll bring this army down and just fight the battle out. We won there. We really should just move these armies back. This army forward, this army to reinforce, which looks like it'll go through here, so we'll just bring one of these armies and bring this army to its old position. Hopefully we can evacuate these people, get them right on out of there. Apparently they've already taken the losses. The Russians are able to move in and attack us. That is terrible news. We need to reinforce these men against the Russian Colossus. And let's see. These men will bring up. We should also surround this area so that the French can't seep through, as they appear to be trying to do right now. We will continue to flood forces into this area to fight the French and probably also British as well. We're going to let them build up while the battle isn't going too one-sidedly. And so long as they're building up, we'll just keep building up in tune. Apparently we're also at war with Austria, which means we're at war with a direct line in Poland. What? Why? Okay, no, what? Is this the Polish flag? Oh, that was the Polish flag the entire time. What's the Austrian flag? Nothing at all like that. What am I doing? I'm messing up. I'm messing up really badly. We are letting enemy armies pour through into the state. We're taking heavy losses. We're going to start pulling these troops from the border onto Anatolia, bring them back up in mass. We are winning out loud against the French. We might lose a significant degree of our territory to the Poles and the Russians, although we are doing very well against them now. At any rate, we are winning some battles. We're probably going to call it right here, as this war is going to last at least throughout the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. Next time we're in the last 5.5 years, give or take.